Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report. And in today's range report, we're going to be taking a look at a custom LMT rifle. And what makes this one so special is the upper receiver. And this is a gun that is kind of off catalog because LMT does not offer it as a complete firearm. They pretty much only offer it as an upper receiver, either with or without a barrel. And the gun that we will be taking to the range, shooting, reviewing, and talking about is the LMT or Lewis Machine & Tool MRP-L MLOK 12-inch Shovelnose Piston AR. And the name Shovelnose comes from the shape of the front of this handguard, which is a special order because many people were wanting the MLOK slots to come out further than their typical monolithic rail platform, which is what MRP stands for. And so they have never offered this as a complete gun, but we have a firearm made of all LMT parts, complete with a Mars L lower and the LMT piston. And we have a really cool firearm here that many people think might be the ultimate piston AR, but that is yet to be determined. It's definitely cool, and I love LMT. They make some of the best stuff out there, and arguably, I think their stuff is some of the best that beats out the other companies that focus on military and police contracts like Knight's Armament. So before we get this to the range and talk exactly about what this gun is and all of its specs, I always want to thank the people that make these videos possible. First and foremost is the owner of this really cool firearm. He's a local fan and subscriber named D, and you have heard me talk about him in so many videos because his collection is amazing. So thank you once again, D, for lending this awesome gun to the channel for me to review. As always, I want to thank my Patreon supporters because through their monthly donations and support, they help keep the lights on around here, and I could not do this without their support. And if you want to join my Patreon for as little as $1 a month, there's a link in the description below, and you get to see all these videos early. And as always, I want to thank my primary sponsor who provides the ammunition for these range reports and makes them financially feasible for me, my good friend Mark from Brownworks. And once again, we are reviewing a high-end gun with military provenance, and you probably love guns like this. And maybe you have a few pistols that kind of fit this category, like a Colt 1911, a Beretta 92, a CZ75, or a Browning High Power, just to name a few. And you might be in the market for a set of custom grips to elevate the looks of these guns, to be something special. Well, the grip company you need to check out is Brownworks. Brownworks is a custom grip company making a wide variety of grips for a wide variety of firearms out of a wide variety of exotic woods and materials. Mark can apply custom logos, custom engravings, custom textures, finish the grips in a wide variety of colors. He can also make his own laminate woods and apply exotic materials like snakeskin and alligator skin to make these grips unique and one of a kind. So I'm going to put a link to his website in the comment section below, as well as a coupon code for 10% off your first order, and I'm going to ask you guys to go over there and check out everything he has to offer. And when you place your order for your first set of custom grips, please tell Mark the Texas Gun Vault sent you. All right, so let's talk about the gun we have on the table today, and I want to go over all of its specs and its features. So let me go ahead and adjust the camera. I want to give you some close-ups of this and talk to you specifically about what the Shovelnose is. So let's get some close-ups and talk about this gun and what makes it so special. And we're going to talk about the upper receiver first because that's the whole purpose of what this gun is and what makes it so special. This is the LMT MRP or monolithic rail platform L, which means it's the light, so it's in 5.56 MLOK 12-inch Shovelnose. So the reason we get this name is if you look at the front here, you can see how the bottom part of the rail comes out further than the top part, and I guess they think it looks like a shovel. And when this came out, everybody wanted one because there's a lot of people that were clamoring to have the ability to mount accessories further out than the end of the traditional monolithic rail. So LMT has offered this both to civilians and on the military police side of contracts, but only as an upper receiver. The lower receiver of this gun is a stock LMT MRP-L lower, so we have all of the ambi controls that you would expect on their MRP-L, which is their upper end lower receiver. The barrel is a 12-inch barrel that is chrome lined and cryogenically treated. It has a 1-in-7 right hand twist and obviously is chambered in 5.56, so you can shoot 2.23 as well through it. It uses the LMT short stroke piston system, which has an adjustable gas block for when you're going to shoot this unsuppressed and suppressed, and we will do that in this video. Now, normally these barrels come with an A2 style flash hider. However, we do have a Knights Armament flash hider on this because we are going to be using a Knights Armament suppressor with it. Obviously, this has a monolithic upper receiver. As you can see, this rail is integrated into the upper. The overall length of this rifle is 32 inches, and it has a 2-stage trigger in this lower receiver. And this is pretty much the stock trigger you would get in almost every LMT. So now I want to get out the Lyman trigger pull weight gauge, and I want to test this trigger out and see what it's all about. So in my personal opinion and experience, I have come to discover that 2-stage triggers are great for long distance and precision shooting, while single-stage triggers are preferable for duty and home defense. But when it comes to these stock LMT triggers, I feel like they are a nice blend between the two, and you get the advantages of both. As a 2-stage trigger, you get a very smooth take-up and the ability to stage it, but also you get the advantages of a single stage trigger, so you get a little bit heavier break, so you're not too worried about carrying this for self-defense or use it for home defense because the trigger is too light. Normally I can shoot these very accurate, but also very fast, and hopefully I'll be able to demonstrate that in this review. So let's take a look at this trigger, but we'll start by dropping the magazine, ensuring there is no ammunition in it, and of course, safety checking the firearm and ensuring that there is no ammunition inside the gun, and it looks like we are good. So let's start off by taking a look at the 2-stage trigger and its take-up. It's a little bit long, but it is very smooth. You come back to a definitive wall, and that break is a little bit heavier, but then we have the reset. Very tactile and audible. It is short, but then you have that take up again so you can stage the trigger. I do like the way this trigger feels, and honestly, I think it might be the best 2-stage trigger for a duty gun out there. So let me go ahead and turn on the Lyman trigger pull weight gauge. Let's clear any averages, and let's test this trigger out and see what it measures at. So for our first pull, we have 5 pounds, 14.4 ounces. £5 pounds, 9.6 ounces. £6 pounds, 0.7 ounces. £5 pounds, 14.4 ounces. And finally, we have £5 pounds, 9.9 ounces, which gives us an average of 5 pounds, 13.0 ounces. It's definitely not the lightest trigger out there, but it does break very crisp and very predictable. And that is why I really like this trigger. As I mentioned, it's not the lightest trigger out there, but normally because I can stage it well, I can shoot it very accurate, but it has a great pull, so I can shoot it typically very fast. So hopefully, as I mentioned, it's going to perform that way at the range. But before we take this to the range, as always, I want to talk about the things that I like and don't like. So let's adjust the camera and let's talk about this gun's features and what I really enjoy about it. So let's start off by talking about the things I absolutely love about this gun. And obviously, the first thing I love about this gun is that it is an LMT. Lewis Machine & Tool just has one of the best reputations in the industry. They are a leader in innovation and design when it comes to modern rifles. In fact, countries like Estonia and New Zealand rely on them for many of their small arms, but LMT, unlike other companies, Knight's Armament, do cater to the civilian side of the market as well. And so they come out with high quality stuff and they seem to care about all of their end users. I think every LMT I have ever reviewed has been top notch. I'm also a big fan of the MARS-L lower. I think it's one of the nicest lower receivers on the market. You have a complete ambidextrous control system. You have the safety selector switch, magazine release, and a bolt catch on the right side, as well as the left side. I also love the LMT SOP Mod stock. They're absolutely fantastic, very comfortable. I love their grips. These look like the old Ergo grips, but the material is a little bit harder. I never liked the original Ergo ones, but these absolutely feel very good. And you can also get to the adjustable gas block very easy. I've had some trouble lately with some other rifles that I needed to adjust the gas blocks on, and they're inside the handguard, and sometimes I just have a lot of trouble. But here, it's accessible and easy to get to. But now let's talk about the one thing about this gun I don't like. And I think it's a symptom of two awesome features of this gun: the monolithic rail and the piston. But because we have these two things, the gun is honestly kind of heavy, and more importantly, it's front heavy. It's not that bad, but if you're used to direct impingement guns, it definitely feels a little bit different. I wish we could get both of these features in a package that was a little bit lighter and a little bit more balanced. So that's the things I like and don't like about this rifle. So now it's time to finally get this thing to the range and see how it shoots. As I mentioned, some people think this is the ultimate piston AR. So we'll just have to shoot it and find out. So as always, we're going to start off with the target at just 10 yards. I'm going to put one magazine through this gun unsuppressed. Just see how it shoots, what it feels like, make sure it's reliable, and then we'll go back to the range at the same distance and we'll use this Knight's Armament suppressor. We'll adjust the gas block and see if it changes anything. So let's go to the range. And as expected, our review is off to a great start. The gun is running reliably, it is accurate, but it is a little bit front heavy, but I'm also noticing the recoil impulse is a little bit heavier than a standard direct impingement AR. But that's what I've noticed about many piston-driven ARs. I think it's just the mechanism. When that bolt is pushed to the rear, it goes back a little bit faster, but you kind of notice it. It's going to move in my shoulder a little bit more, but hopefully when I adjust the gas block and put on this suppressor, it's going to change things up. And I absolutely love these Knight's Armament suppressors. They're very durable, but they are a little bit heavy. So now the gun's going to be even more front heavy, but I think it's going to shoot a little bit nicer. So let's go back to the range. Let's shoot this gun suppressed. I need to adjust the gas block and just make sure it's going to continue to run great. And now shooting this suppressed with the gas setting turned down a little bit, it's a very soft shooting rifle. And I'm really impressed that we still have very strong ejections. I'm pretty sure the engineering that went into this, it finely tuned that gas block, especially when it comes to a wide range of suppressors and all of the resistance it's going to add to the gas, but it's running great, it's still accurate, and it feels great in the shoulder. So now the next test I'm going to do is pretty much double the distance of this target, put another magazine through it, and we're going to continue to only shoot this gun suppressed because it sounds better, it's cooler, and it just seems to run a little bit nicer. So let's go back to the range, make sure this accuracy continues, and see if there's anything else I discover about this gun that I like or don't like, and I'll report back to you. And this rifle is continuing to be very accurate, and I'm also very impressed with how comfortable this handguard is. Everything seems to be dehorned. I don't have any accessories mounted to it like a vertical foregrip or any rail covers, but it's very comfortable to hold, and it's staying cool because all of the heat and gas is remaining out towards the front of the gun because we have this piston system, so it's very cool back towards the receiver. The only heat that I'm getting is the heat transfer from the barrel, but it's very minimal. So now I want to set out the target at 25 yards and shoot this from the bench. And I know this gun can shoot well beyond this, but I am reviewing this as a defensive carbine for CQB use. So hopefully it's going to be very accurate at this distance, and if we have any issues, you can extrapolate what happens out to further distances and know whatever change there is going to be exacerbated. But typically, these LMT rifles are very accurate for me. So let's go back to the range, shoot this from the bench, and see what the best group I can get with it is. And that is exactly the performance I would expect out of a cold hammer forged LMT barrel. All these guns seem to shoot the same. They're very accurate, and even with a 12-inch barrel, you know if you are shooting targets at 100, 200, or even 300 yards, it's going to get great performance. And pretty much every LMT that I have shot has done this. It's really cool, and I think they make exceptional barrels to very tight tolerances, and the performance simply shows that. So the next test I want to do is the shoot fast and magazine change test. I want to, number one, see how fast I can shoot this gun. I mentioned this does have a 2-stage trigger in it, but it's set up so nice that I can shoot it accurate and fast. So I'm kind of excited to see how fast I can pull this trigger. But I also want to see how fast I can change this magazine out. And this is one of the reasons I love the MARS-L lowers, because we have the magazine release on the left-hand side as well. So I can bring my hand up, push it with my left thumb, and simply strip that magazine out. And then, of course, these mag wells are pretty much standard AR-15 size. So finding it to reinsert the new magazine is usually not a problem. And then my thumb is right here to push the little ping pong paddle and get the gun back in action. So let's go back to the range, see how fast I can shoot this, and do a mag change. And simply put, I can shoot this gun fast, the gun is easy to control and keep on target, and I absolutely love the ambi controls of the LMT MARS-L lower. There's nothing else to say except this design is a huge improvement over the old mil-spec ARs. Truly, this has made the AR-15 or the AR-15 style rifle more relevant in the 21st century. All right, so the last test I want to do, well, really isn't a test. It's just me wanting to have some fun. This is a fast gun to shoot, so I'm just going to go back to the range and do a complete mag dump with it. But I do want to take this opportunity and test one more thing. I am starting to notice that the end of this shovel nose handguard is getting kind of hot, because right up here it's very close to the suppressor and the gas block. As long as my hand is back here, it's pretty cool. But out here, it's uncomfortably hot. And honestly, I think it might be a little bit dangerous. So I'm actually gonna get out the laser thermometer after this mag dump and test it. So let's go back to the range, have some fun putting a bunch of rounds through it, and then I wanna see how hot this handguard is getting at the end. And that is definitely a lot of fun. And anytime you have a suppressed LMT rifle in your hands, you have to run it that way once in a while just to get that experience. This gun can be shot fast and it's very, very controllable. But now let's talk about the heat here on the end of the handguard. I was measuring it between the last two MLOK slots, and you saw the temperature got up to the mid 200s, which is pretty hot. And the whole point of this handguard is to be able to mount accessories further out. But at that temperature, anything made of polymer might begin to melt, and anything with electronics in it, like a tactical flashlight, might begin to malfunction. So while this might be cool and collectible, it might not be as practical as some people would want it to be. So what are my final thoughts on the Shovelnose 12-inch piston AR from LMT, the off-catalog rifle? Well, this is definitely a solid gun, but all LMTs are that way. It's a great design. I love the MARS-L lower and all of the ambi controls. The gun is exceptionally accurate, and that's just like most of the other LMTs I have reviewed. The only downsides to this rifle is it is a little bit heavier, and of course if you mount a suppressor to the end, it's going to be front heavy, and then of course the front of this handguard is going to get a little bit hot, which I think negates the whole purpose of the Shovelnose design. So on my star system, how would I rate the Shovelnose LMT Piston AR? Well, I'm only going to give this 4.5 stars out of 5. And I know that might surprise some people because the gun is running great. It's performing wonderfully. However, In order to get 5 stars, it has to exceed my expectations. And I already knew going into this review, this gun was going to be great. And it performed exactly like I expected it to, just like every other piston LMT AR I've shot. So the only big difference is the collectability of this handguard. And does it do anything that the other LMTs don't? Well, not really. And it's not practical because it gets so hot. But it's definitely cool and collectible. So I think I'm giving it the highest rating I can, 4.5 stars out of 5. It's simply a great gun. And just like every other LMT, it's just collectible because of the design of the handguard. Some people may care about that and some might not. So tell me in the comments section below, do you think this is a cool build? Do you like the shovel nose design? Do you like to collect LMT guns? I'd like to know your thoughts on this and if you think it's practical. So, as always, thanks for watching.